Morris, Cam the Yards, Tom Davis, joined now by Steve Melewski from MASNsports.com. Great job covering the Orioles throughout the entire minors. Let's talk a little bit about Cody Sedlock, last year's #1 pick.
Oh, man, what a great start he is off to, Tom. The Orioles, of course, skipped this kid over Delmarva right to single-A Frederick, and he's off to a 3-0 start with an ERA of 1.64 in his first 4 starts. He's allowed just 10 hits in 22 innings. He's been throwing about 85 to 90 pitches per start. As you said, the 27th pick in the first round last year out of the University of Illinois. 92 to 94 with a lot of sink on his fastball. And watch this breaking ball coming up. We're going to see in a second that Sedlock is going to throw. This is a hammer curveball. He's got great makeup, a big, strong kid, as you can see. I mean, he's really got a lot to offer the Orioles. He's throwing really well. The sink is really important for him. He really drives downhill with his delivery, gets a lot of ground balls, and, he's doing great right now. Mentally a tough kid. We saw him very briefly at Oriole camp, and he actually didn't pitch well, but he brushed that right off and is doing a great job for the Keys right now.
How about Ryan Mountcastle, who's a young infielder?
Oh, man, he is showing some pop as well. And another guy that the Orioles really like, a shortstop for the Frederick Keys. And look at some of the jolts he is putting into the baseballs right now for the Frederick Keys. He's hit both left-handers and right-handers. I mean, a great approach. His swing mechanics are really good. Look at the bat speed, which is impressive. And he's just driving the ball all over the ballpark in the Carolina League right now. And so really impressive, Tom. In that last year, if you look at his power, he averaged 1 home run every 45 at-bats. So far at Frederick, and again, it's early, but he's averaging a home run every 17 at-bats. He's just 20 years old, and as we saw, a really solid swing. They've got to improve his throwing a little bit and his arm strength at Frederick. They're working on that. But Mountcastle's got some pop in that bat. A very mature approach for a young kid. A great start he is off to for the Keys.
How about a player by the name of Jake Ring?
Jake Ring is opening some eyes here at Delmarva, a 31st round draft pick out of the University of Missouri last year. This young kid, not many people know his name, but maybe they're going to know it. Look at his batting average, .397, 15 extra base hits, and 19 RBIs. I mean, last year he hit .271 in the Gulf Coast League. But Jeff Manto, the Orioles hitting coordinator, just loves his swing. As you can see, a good level left-handed swing from Jake Ring. 22-year-old outfitter, uses the whole field. Yeah, really a solid average runner, a pretty decent defender as well. And he was a 31st round draft pick that some scouts said, he didn't have a tool that graded plus that just stood out to make him go higher in the draft, but he's kind of all around pretty good. And as I said, Jeff Manto, the hitting coordinator, loves his swing, and he may not be a fluke. I mean, he's not going to hit .397, I don't think, for the year, but there's some people in the Oriole organization who think Jake Ring is for real, even though he was drafted so low in round 31.
Now, the other day, Buck Showalter talked at his press conference and said the Orioles are starting to look like produce some hitters from the minor leagues right now. Is that true?
I think so. I mean, you got to like some of the outfield depth they're developing. And here's the current minor league batting leaders. Austin Wins is a catcher at Bowie. They really like his defense and his throwing, and look at how well he's hitting so far. Jake Ring, we showed you, he's at .397. Drew Dosh is a third baseman who was promoted recently from Bowie to Norfolk. And Cedric Mullins, everybody knows about that kid now, as a great spring he had. He's out with a hamstring injury right now, Tom, but he should be back, they hope, in a week or two. So they're developing some outfield depth with some of these young guys and some hitters. Mountcastle obviously is one to watch. We're already seeing the power uptick we talked about at Frederick. So some exciting things to track on the farm.
Rick, Steve, when you look about the promotion possibilities here, some of them with hitting so well, I mean, they're not going to stay in these spots very long before they get promoted up the line, right?
Well, usually, Tom, they don't promote this quick. I mean, we're in the first month of the season, so sometimes we see promotions on the farm at mid-year. In a couple of these leagues, they play halves. In Frederick and Delmarva, the standings flip to 0-0 starting the second half after their all-star games in June in those leagues. So sometimes around that time we see some promotions. And a guy like Sedlock, drafted out of college, a little more advanced pitcher. It may not be out of the realm of possibility that the Orioles bump him to AA Bowie before this year is out. So pretty exciting to watch that.
Nobody knows more about the Orioles minor leagues than Steve Melewski. Check him out on MASNsports.com.